one day. One day until the NFL season begins. Tomorrow, it's the Chiefs. No, it's not. It's the Rams and the Bills, and the season gets underway with a great game. And then Sunday, the Browns go to Carolina to kick the crap out of Baker Mayfield and the Panthers. It's all happening, baby. We're talking about that and the Guardians winning their second straight, trying to get back on track behind a good performance by Shane Bieber. That and more coming up on today's edition, Wednesday, September the 7th, 2022, in the bullpen with Adam the Bull.
Cast is not for the faint of heart.
And I do think it's time for the Browns to move on.
It's not for those who ride the fence.
He's proven nothing.
But if you're looking for someone who tells it like it is about Cleveland sports,
everybody does fandom their way.
You've come to the right place.
I don't think he's any good.
It's time for the bullpen with Adam the Bull.
All right, let's get right to it. Let's get right to it, shall we? We got football coming up, and it's time to go. Yesterday, when we did the podcast, the line was Carolina by 2.5, which seemed high to me. Personally, I think this game should be a pick'em. I still think, even with Jacoby Brissett, that the Browns are the better football team. However, because the game's in Carolina, you get it was always 3 points. Over the years, maybe it's gone to 2. We had maybe during the COVID year. I don't know if it's gone back to 3, whatever. But I'll assume it's still 3 for being at home. I do think on a neutral field, even with Jacoby Brissett, I think the Browns are a 3-point better team. If you're a better and you were able to get it at 2.5, I think that's great. The line has gone to 1.5. Which probably means some of the sharp money is gone on on the Browns. It just never made sense to me. Yes, in a perfect world, well, I don't know about a perfect world. Yes, Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback than Jacoby Brissett. However, the Browns around Jacoby Brissett, to me, are a significantly better team just in general. I mean, the Browns are better top to bottom defensively. The Browns have a better offensive line, even though there are certainly some questions heading into this game about the offensive line. The feeling seems to be that Jack Conklin's not going to play. Obviously, you already have a question mark at center, so now you have 2 spots. I feel fine about Jedrick Wills at left tackle. I've kind of gotten to that point over this training camp and offseason. But you have 2 spots you're concerned with, even if Conklin plays, I guess if he plays, I'm not going to be worried about it. But center's an unproven situation. You got a guy who has started in the league but has not been particularly good. So there's some issues there. But Carolina's got a completely unproven offensive line. They were terrible in the O-line last year. And obviously they've added some guys, including our old buddy Austin Corbett and a rookie left tackle. But there's certainly some question marks there. And we heard yesterday on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show from, I think it was, I can't remember now. It was either Aditi or Jay Feely. I can't remember which one of them said it, that their rookie left tackle I think it was Jay, rookie left tackle is a work in progress when it comes to the passing game, and that's not a place you want to be if you have to face Myles Garrett, who is obviously the freak of freaks. So, Christian McCaffrey's great, and he's good, and he's healthy heading into this game for the first time in 3 years. No, I shouldn't say the first time in 3 years. He's not like he hasn't played at all, but he's been injured. But as great as he is, the Browns essentially have 2 players. They may not be especially Nick Chubb is not the pass catcher that Christian McCaffrey is, but nobody's the runner that Nick Chubb is, except for maybe Derrick Henry. That's it. So I still think even as great as McCaffrey is, the Browns have the edge in the running game. Where the Panthers do have the edge by a little bit, I would say, is in the passing game in terms of the wide receivers. I think, you know what? I don't even know about that. I mean, DJ Moore and Amari Cooper are probably equal in the same neck of the woods. It's really close. I mean, and their number 2 receiver is Robbie Anderson. He has experience in the league, more experience than the Browns guys. But, the more I think about it, I don't even know that they're any better there. Browns better at tight end. And so, really across the board, the Browns are just a better team. A few weeks ago I was saying, Panthers aren't that bad. I got kind of blinded for a second. I don't know. I never do this, but they're ranked number 2 defensively in terms of yards. That's an old school way of thinking. When I had heard that they were number 2, at first I don't know. I don't know why I was giving them more credit for that. But if you look at the rest of the statistics defensively and the analytics on them defensively, it's not very good. They added some veterans, and they should be better. The Panthers should be a better team this year than they were last year. But overall, I still think the Browns are a significantly better team across the board. And the Baker-Jacoby thing, I mean, that's not a big enough edge for Carolina to make up for the deficiencies in other places. A lot of people feel that Baker's going to play a great game because he's extra motivated, get the chip on the shoulder. And maybe he will. I mean, we've seen Baker play great games from time to time. But I think he's going to be overcome with his emotion, and I think that's when Baker is not at his best. When he's too fired up, that's when he makes his mistakes, which happen quite often here in Cleveland, and that's I think what's going to happen against the Browns. And I think he's going to be overhyped for this game. He's trying to play it down, or he did before. We heard the comments that he said to Cynthia Freeland, and then the day after putting out his T-shirt and hyping that up, he had kind of kept a low profile on himself and this matchup before that. But that all just went out the window this week, and somehow he was able to kind of keep it in before this week or before last week, but that's bubbling inside of him. Not to mention, if the Browns weren't motivated enough to begin with about playing their former quarterback, the fact that he's made some comments this week in the T-shirt this week. I mean, if there was any need for extra motivation, although I doubt they needed it, they got it. I think the guys are going to be plenty fired up. I agree with what John Johnson said. Was it Monday, I think? He said he was asked, who has the advantage, Baker versus them or them versus Baker, and he said, hey, it's 11 of us, there's only one of him. I agree with that. Also, you had Jay Feely again on the show with us yesterday, who's going to be calling the game along with Spiro Ditas and Aditi Kinkhabwala on the first game of the season. You had him make the point that, Baker knows the defense, sure. The defense knows Baker, sure. But the added thing is the coaching staff, right? I mean, Kevin Stefanski, Alex Van Pelt, Joe Woods, they know Baker like the back of their hand, I would think. If they don't, that's a major problem, but I can't imagine that's the case. And, they know his strengths and weaknesses. They know his fears on the football. They know everything about him. And you could say, well, Baker knows the coaches too, and he does to some degree, but a player's not going to know a coach as well as a coach knows a player. Maybe Tom Brady, maybe Peyton Manning, but Baker Mayfield ain't those guys. So I think in the end, Baker will be overly pumped, and that'll work against him. And the Browns, I believe, have the edge in the knowing each other game. Now, if Baker goes out and is able to keep those emotions in check and balls and plays great, well, that'll suck. But I'm not betting on that. I think the Browns are going to take care of business. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think, I've been saying for a couple of weeks here, I've been talking about it on the podcast, on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show as well. This season, one of the things I really want to see this season is Myles Garrett. Like, Myles Garrett has been great since the moment he came into the NFL. Great. One of the best players, one of the best defensive players. From the moment he came in the league, he was on a trajectory to at least be close to the Hall of Fame, if not be in it. From the moment he's been in the league. But what I've seen from Myles Garrett is him being great, right? What's better than that? Well, to me, there's one more step. There's great, and there's Hall of Fame great. And he has shown Hall of Fame great at times. And at times, he's just been normal great. But this year, he needs to show Hall of Fame great all the time. He needs to be consistent in the big moments with his super eliteness or Hall of Fame greatness, whatever you want to say. Myles Garrett's one of the best players in football. But the bar for me, for Myles Garrett, is not just great. It's Aaron Donald. It's all-time great. That's what I think of Myles Garrett. This is not a knock at Myles Garrett. I love him. I don't know him personally, but I love the player. I love Myles Garrett. I think he's phenomenal, but I do think there is one more gear in this player. And we see it sometimes. But I think this year, we're going to see it more. Nobody plays at that level every moment of every game. But I think we need more consistency of that final step. And I think this year, he's going to put it all together. And this game against Carolina, this Sunday, just 4 days from now, I think Myles Garrett's going to give you the first taste of that. He is going up against a rookie left tackle. Mentioned it briefly before. Man, the bags under my eyes are looking bad. Looking bad this morning. And as I mentioned, Jay Feely said he has struggled. They're a little concerned about him in pass rush. Myles Garrett is one of the toughest guys to deal with, if not the toughest guy to deal with in the pass rush. He has got to make this left tackle want to retire by the end of the game. That's the kind of domination that we need to see. I want to see him beat the living crap out of Baker Mayfield. I mean, just have the left tackle and Baker want to go home and cry to mama. That's what we need in this game. We need Myles to wreck the whole game, to be disruptive. What we want to see when and by the way, this Sunday and every game this season, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show will be doing a 2-minute warning / post-game show. So when the game goes to the 2-minute warning, myself, G. Bush, and Mikey McNuggets will hit the airwaves live from our homes. We will watch the final 2 minutes of the game with you and then talk about it with you when the game ends. Unlike other post-game shows, we'll be starting early. Unlike other post-game shows, we won't have commercials, nothing but content for you to hear. We won't waste time with cheeseball press conferences and none of that nonsense, just hardcore talk. So make sure when the game hits the 2-minute warning, Browns-Panthers, this Sunday, you click the link. We'll have it up there on Twitter. You'll get a notification. If you haven't subscribed to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show YouTube channel, that's how you can watch this podcast. You got to subscribe right now. You hit the little bell. You'll get a message saying, hey, the guys are going on, and we will be going on at the 2-minute warning of every game this year. Well, I'll be doing 16 of the 17 games, but we will have a post game for all 17 games. It's going to be awesome. And what I want to be talking about in that post game on this Sunday, the 2-minute warning show, is McNuggets. My God, did Myles Garrett destroy Baker Mayfield and that Panther offensive line? What a performance by Myles Garrett. That's what I want to be talking about. I want to be talking about a dominant run game and a dominant defense. That's what it's going to take. Jacoby Brissett is what he is. He is not putting this team on his back. If they are going to win, if they are going to stay in the hunt, if they are going to have a chance to pass the baton to Deshaun Watson, who will not have played in almost 2 full calendar years by the time he hits the field in November or December, I should say. If they're going to pass the baton with him and have a chance for him to play well enough to get them in the playoffs and give them a chance in the playoffs, they've got to dominate on defense. They've got to dominate in the running game, and it all starts this week. And this game is huge, not only because it's one of 17 in the NFL or because it's against Baker, because that in the long run doesn't, in the long run, if the Panthers win this game, it doesn't prove anything in terms of the Browns making the right or wrong decision. That we won't know for a while. But I would say they made the right decision no matter how it goes. But anyway, we won't know it based on one game. However, We know how tough the Browns' schedule is going to get. They cannot afford to lose games to the few, at least, teams that I see as weak on their schedule. And the Panthers are one of those teams. The Falcons, the Jets. I think the Steelers, but we'll see. They can't afford to lose those games because if they do, they're in big trouble. Because when you play the Ravens and the Chiefs and the Bucks and the Dolphins and the Chargers and the Bengals, I don't think the Patriots are very good. But those other teams, it's going to be really hard to win those games. You just hope you can get a couple of them. That's why you got to dominate and win the rest of them. You got to take care of business. Because if the Browns have a realistic shot of making the playoffs, they have to go 6-5 in the 11 games that Jacoby Brissett plays. And with this schedule, that is going to be very tough to do. And that might not be enough. I mean, even 6-5 might not be enough. But it should give them a chance. Should give them a chance. And to do that, you got to take care of business against Carolina. I think the Browns are the better team. They got to believe they're the better team. They better be the better coach team. If they're not, that's a huge problem. And let's go. Let's get it done. All right. I'm going to take a break. Before I do, I want to talk to you about Built Bar. If you haven't tried Built Bar Puffs yet, you're depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys. And there's a new flavor. Delicious, indulgent cookie dough. Yes. Covered in chocolate. Built's done it again. Cookie dough chunk puffs. Light, chewy texture. Real cookie dough chunks. And, of course, covered in 100% real chocolate. All the joys of eating cookie dough without the hassle of making it. Just 160 calories, 15 grams of protein. So make sure you go to Built.com today. You are going to love the cookie dough chunk puff. Built.com, Built.com. Make sure you use the promo code LOCKEDON15 and get 15% off your order. Use the promo code LOCKEDON15. Yesterday, both here and on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, I talked about not panicking when it comes to the Cleveland Guardians. They have shown you who they are. They are a young team that has had some high highs and some low lows, and that has continued. And before Monday's game, they had lost 8 of their last 10. And, it was a little jarring because in the second half, they hadn't had quite as many low lows as they did in the first half. But they went through a bad slump. They particularly struggled against the Mariners. They lost 6 of 7 over that 10-game stretch to the Mariners, a team they might play in the playoffs. And right now you'd have to like the Mariners' chances, although things can change. I remember in 2015, the Cubs had beaten the Mets in the regular season every game they played, and then in the playoffs, the Mets swept the Cubs in the NLCS. So just because you have success against a team in the regular season, and that's just one example, doesn't mean anything when it comes to the playoffs, or it doesn't necessarily mean anything. But the Guardians have now bounced back. They have won 2 in a row. Their anemic offense seems to be coming to life just a bit. Even the much maligned by me, deservedly so, Miles Straw and Austin Hedges came through the last 2 days. And the team has scored 10 runs in the last 2 games against the Kansas City Royals. All right, it's not that amazing considering it's the Royals, but okay. I'll take it. Miles Straw did not get a run. He's had 4 hits the last 2 games. He still can't hit and shouldn't be in the lineup, but okay. Austin Hedges at this point, I really haven't complained about Austin Hedges in a while because I get it from the catching perspective. But Miles Straw, I just can't take. I can't take it. But anyway, the important thing is they got 10 hits yesterday. They did score 4 runs. They tacked on some insurance late. Wanted to give Clase the day off, so Karinchak, who had gotten the day off the day before, gets the final outs. Does a good job, gets the save. But Shane Bieber is the story. They need him to be an ace down the stretch, and he certainly did it. 99 pitches to go through 8 innings. again, we understand that Kansas City's not a very good team. Only thing he gave up was the solo homer to Salvador Perez, the veteran catcher, is really their only excellent player. I mean, they have some. I shouldn't say that, but Bobby Witt Jr. is a really nice young player. They have a couple of young players, but they're a team that's still rebuilding. But Shane Bieber did a great job. 4 hits, 1 walk, 7 Ks. They needed that from him. A big performance. Got the bullpen some rest. As I mentioned, only Karinchak had to go, and he took care of 12 pitches. Only 12 pitches thrown by the pen. The Guardians winning 2 in a row, improved to 70-64 on the season. The Twins got rained out last night. I think they're playing a doubleheader either today or tomorrow. And the White Sox lost. So it was a good day for the Guardians. They're a game and a half up on the Twins, only 1 in the loss column, and 3 up on the White Sox. Now 28 games to go in the regular season. They will play the Chiefs. They'll play the Royals again today before we go through that stretch I mentioned yesterday. After the Royals game today, it'll be Cody Morris making a second start. It's good that Bieber got the bullpen rest yesterday because he's going to need a lot from the bullpen today. Cody Morris, I think, went 2 innings in his first start. I mean, hadn't pitched all year. They're not expecting him to go. Excuse me. They're not expecting him to go deep in the games. Zach Greinke is coming off the injured list, I believe, to make the start for the Royals tonight. Don't think the Guardians have announced who's going to start the first game in Minnesota, but obviously that's the huge series. You got a weekend series in Minnesota. Quantrill and McKenzie will pitch Saturday, Sunday, which is good, and then the homestand is 3 against the Angels, 1 against the White Sox, and 5 against Minnesota, including a doubleheader next Saturday, and then you go on the road to the White Sox for 3. That's it. I mean, after that, it's just 12 games left. And 9 of the final 12 are against Texas and Kansas City. So if the Guardians can come through this, again, after tonight's game, you have 11, let's see. You have 8 with Minnesota and 4 with Chicago. So 12 of the next 15 after tonight are against Minnesota and the White Sox. It's all going to come down to that. If the Guardians are in front, if they're still in front after that White Sox series that ends September 22nd, 2 weeks from tomorrow, then they're in great shape. They'll probably win the division because, as I said, 6 of their final 9 are against Kansas City and Texas. They do have to play 3 at home against Tampa Bay, but you got to love their chances. But it will not be easy for them to stay in first place because you're playing the teams right there. They're going to have to – the bats are going to have to come around a little bit. White Sox have played better, although they've lost, I think, 2 in a row now. Before that, they had been playing well. So it's going to be fascinating. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see if we can get anybody at the ballpark. I'll be curious to see what that's going to look like. I guess it'll depend on how they do this weekend in Minnesota. But this homestand, I get the Angels. There's not a lot of excitement there. But, you got next weekend. You got the Thursday game against the White Sox and then the 5-game series of the Twins. I mean, I'd like to see some big crowds for those games. Not many home games left. You got 18 home games left. And, it is pretty big. The Guardians have 18 in their final 28 at home. They've been much better at home. So, they have 2 big series on the road with Minnesota, 3 games, and the White Sox, 3 games in a couple of weeks. But I do hope that we have some crowds. Jay Crawford and I were talking yesterday on the show about how there seems to be a lot of apathy for this team. And it's frustrating. The team is good, but because they sat on their hands at the trade deadline, there's some obvious holes that they should have been able to fix. Like, they should have another outfielder that can hit on this team. They should have one more starting pitcher on this team. I mean, think about that. Even a catcher. But I could live without catcher. But think about if they had one, really good bat in the outfield. One additional, if they had a guy in center field or put in left field and have Quan play center field. And if they had one more good, not a superstar, not an elite starter, but like one more really just reliable middle of the rotation starter to have as the third or fourth starter with Quantrill behind McKenzie and Bieber. You feel much better about this team if you had those two things, even without the catcher. And I was screaming about the catcher all year. But if you just had one good bat in the outfield, one additional good bat in the outfield, and one good middle of the rotation starter, you'd feel so much better about where you are. But right now, especially with Plesac going on the injured list, you're in a situation where 2 out of every 5 games, you have no idea what you're going to get from the starting pitcher. And you have 2 massive holes in the lineup in center field and catcher. And that's been a problem. And that's when a few of the guys slump, and Rosario and Jimenez, who have been great this year, especially Jimenez, those guys have scuffled a little bit, which you have to expect because even the best hitter goes through some low points, and they don't have the guys to make it up. Jose has not had a great second half. He's been okay, but not an MVP level second half. And everybody, some other guys have been just okay, but guys like Straw and Hedges and some of these other guys they throw in, for example, last night you look at the lineup and have Miller and Freeman. I mean, the lineup from 6 to 9 was awful. And Jimenez is starting to get going a couple. I still want to see him. I mean, he hit 5 just because, they finally moved him up the lineup. That was good. I'd like to see him hit. I don't know why he's hitting. I'd bat him ahead of Oscar Gonzalez. I'd bat him higher I find it very frustrating. I think I would bat Jimenez 3rd, Ramirez 4th, and then Gonzalez 5th. But what are you going to do? At least Francona will listen to me finally and move him up to the 5 spot. Hopefully that will continue because the batting 6th and 7th in this lineup just doesn't make any sense. We'll see. Tito listens to me once in a while. I straighten him out. All right, folks. Let me talk to you about Sleeper. Sleeper is really awesome. It's the fastest growing fantasy platform today. With the NFL season kicking off, Sleeper is climbing the charts, over 4 million users. In addition, they just launched 22 new features, including over-unders integrated into fantasy. This is fun. The first sports contest game built into the fantasy experience. Now, not only can you enter a contest via over-under itself, but you can also do so through your fantasy league's matchup screen, and it's super simple. First, in any sport, choose 2 or more players that you like and pick the over-under. For example, rushing yards in football or number of points in basketball. Then choose the amount of money you want to enter into the contest. If you pick correctly, you can win anywhere from 2 times to over 20 times the money you put in. The main reason I'm excited about this is that it's the only app, Sleeper, where you can join your friends in a contest together and play together. It's got a built-in group chat where you can see and copy group picks with a tap of a button. It's really fun to ride it out together. So stop what you're doing and download Sleeper right now. Play the over-under game, have fun with your friends, and make some cash. On your mobile phone, join our listener group on Sleeper at promo code sleeper.com/lockedonbets, and Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit of up to $100. Again, sleeper.com/lockedonbets or sleeper.com/lockedon today, and get $100 to match in your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Check it out. Sleeper. So, final thing I wanted to hit on real quick. Sue Bird is a great women's basketball player. She plays for the Seattle Storm. And last night was her final game. I put it on right at the end. It was really cool, really emotional. She was supposed to retire. She was going to not supposed to, but she was going to originally retire last year, and she decided to come back for one more season. They made the playoffs. They got eliminated by the Las Vegas Aces last night, and the crowd it's always just cool moments, And I know some people scoff at the WNBA. I don't. I mean, I don't watch a ton of WNBA, but I respect it, and not that they need me to respect it, but that was a cool moment. So congratulations to Sue Bird, who had a magnificent career in the WNBA. One final thing also, right now, I liked tennis when I was younger. and I'm just not that into it. You know, and as soon like Serena Williams was such a huge story in the U.S. Open, and as soon as she got eliminated, it was like when I used to watch golf when Tiger Woods was hot. You know, it'd be like I'd like to watch Tiger, and then if he was eliminated or if he wasn't in the mix, I wasn't interested. The same thing here. I was watching the U.S. Open, watching Serena. And the second she lost, I was like, okay, I don't care. I don't care who wins on the men's side. I don't care. And, you know, whatever. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just interesting. So farewell to a couple of legends, Serena Williams, Sue Bird. Obviously, Serena on a class in herself. I'll talk to you tomorrow right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull. See ya.